Again for the Big Bite. In this show, we look at the trends and ring in the changes for mobile phones.
We've been hearing a lot lately about the so-called digital superhighway, vast amounts of information that will be carried into our schools, our workplaces and our homes. No one's quite sure what that place is going to look like in the future, but for a pointer, maybe the superhighway begins on this little road here in Fredrikstad in Norway, and it brings us to a rather unusual place, the very first interactive home. Meet the family Ludvigsen, or at least some of them. Various children have scattered around the globe, but they managed to keep in touch thanks to the wonders of the internet. The internet is the massive network connecting millions of computer users worldwide. Usually you enter the net through universities, but Norway's Telecom has brought the net into the Ludvigsen home for an experiment into the future of online communications. Professor Ludvigsen is a specialist in communications, and the nets connect him to a vast array of information and also allow him to talk to colleagues anywhere by electronic mail. 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, I start out reading my mail. One of the things that is a bit disconcerting about the net is that it's global, which means that a large number of users are up and awake when I'm asleep. A lot of mail comes in during the night, and I spend about half an hour to an hour in the morning reading the mail. And that means that the time I get to read the newspaper is much less than it used to be. Now it's his family's turn. His wife Eva has her own career, and although by no means an expert, she finds that email has changed the way she does things.
I notice a reduction in the telephone bill, which is very nice. And the telephone doesn't ring that much anymore. So...
It's nice and quiet.
Yes, it is. And besides, I don't have the same problem as before. They say, I keep phoning you and you're never there. No, I'm there on the machine. They can reach me. Now I answer when it's convenient for me.
Upstairs, their daughter's boyfriend Stig has become an avid user since coming into the Ludvigsen house.
This morning I've been writing a few articles about music. I've been checking out some news from Africa, from Ghana, and I'm just about to send a mail to my friend in York, in England.
And you find this a good way of communicating, useful way?
Yeah, it's fast, and you don't have to put so much energy into doing things. You just sit by the machine and add those little dots.
But the family isn't just connected to the world is connected to them. Thousands have found them on the nets and learnt about the experiment. They even leave messages in an electronic guest book, and like all good guests, they know how to behave. In this civilized world on the internet, a new kind of human relationship is emerging.
People will ask me, why do you expose your home to the net with the web server that's in the corner behind you over there? And I'll say, well, because I'm extrovert. I mean, it's like inviting people through the front door.
Professor Ludvigsen is now part of an international experiment that will soon sweep through the networks. The internet can now carry sound and vision as well, anywhere. Professor Ludvigsen can use the system to contact his students from home, or video conference with a colleague anywhere in the world. It's light years ahead of existing video telephone systems and at a fraction of the cost. The software is called See You, See Me, and although in its early stages of development, it has tremendous implications for the future of the way we will all receive information.
Okay, good. It was really nice talking to you and seeing you over the net. It's kind of unusual, isn't it?
With all these electronic visitors, screens and cameras around the Ludvigsen home, you might think it's all a bit too much. Not so. It hasn't been an intrusion into your life.
No. On the contrary, now Barry is at home more than he used to be. He can stay at home if it's necessary and still do his job.
There were screens in every room at one time. You've kept it out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
How come?
Yes. The kitchen is too small. I suppose that's the only reason.
Professor Ludvigsen is convinced that computer networking is going to dramatically change not only his home, but yours too.
I think that the elitism will disappear when these boxes go underneath your TV screen, which they're in process of doing. And we'll see the same sort of transition that we've had between sort of from radio to TV and then onto digital space, as it were.
Well, Burra, Eva, thank you very much for our trip into your interactive house.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure having you.
And Eva, thanks for the cookies.
You're welcome.
You got a problem?
If you're clumsy like that and spill something over the keyboard, pick it up, turn it over, shake the liquid out and let it dry. There's lots of things you should never do to your computer, and that's certainly one of them. In fact, if you look after your computer and keep it clean, it should run trouble-free for a long, long time. Here's some more important do's and don'ts for you to remember. Never set up your computer in the direct path of the sunlight. Check that there's nothing placed directly against the fan outlet. Turn off the power before connecting anything else to the computer, and anytime you do turn it off, always wait a minute or so before turning back on again. Don't pull a disk out of the drive while the drive light's on. Dust the monitor by spraying water onto a paper towel and wiping down the screen. Don't spray anything onto the monitor that's not specifically designed for it, and don't block the ventilation slots. Your mouse can pick up any fluff or crumbs on your desk, especially if you've got a cat like mine who sits on it. This could cause the pointer to jump around on the screen. So turn everything off. Turn the mouse upside down, undo the part that holds the ball in, take the ball out, and with tweezers pick out any furry-looking things. Also, give it a good blow to remove any other pieces of fluff. Open the case and vacuum around the fan outlet too, because it sucks a lot of dust into the computer and even the occasional cockroach or two. Oh, and don't forget your diskettes. Keep them clean and be sure not to leave them on top of the computer, next to the phone, or anywhere with a magnetic field, a sure way of scrambling your data. Follow these tips and your computer should work like a charm. Sounds good to me. Sure, Miss Perfect. When was the last time I saw you do something like that?
This week's competition prize goes to JJ Grimer, Michael Palmer and Stephen Grimer of Beveridge, Victoria. Don't forget our fantastic computer animation competition. You can win great prizes from Compaq and LecoVision. Entries must be on Intel-based discs in the flick file format. Your style is what we want, so don't worry about disk space or length of your work. Get animated now.
Sydney's bushfires were headline news around the world. 130 separate fires raged on 6 major fronts, burning an area the size of a small European country. Hundreds of firefighters fought desperately to save people's lives, if not their homes.
One of the problems was the speed with which the fires spread. Flames raced through here in a matter of minutes. The family obviously lost everything. For the people coordinating bushfire relief services, time was also of the essence.
Yeah, oh good, you know how to do them. I'll leave them with you. Good afternoon, disaster welcome. Yes, I'll take your name and details.
The potential was building for many years with regard to the fuel content. All we needed was the wind and the right conditions, and it was quite on.
A veteran of cyclones, floods and fires, disaster manager Peter Olney says he often has a feeling in his bones about acts of God, and the Sydney fires were no exception.
Good afternoon, Disaster Welfare. OK, then do you have temporary accommodation?
He realised he needed a computer system to coordinate the massive information, the thousands of calls that would bombard his office from people needing help.
Thanks a lot for that.
Far from the chaos in downtown Sydney, Peter Olney's dream was realised. Computer analyst Hilton Lipschitz designed a system in just over 48 hours, one that could link disaster headquarters with 6 regional offices at the forefront of the fires. The distances and the fact that roads were blocked by fire meant a different way had to be found to transport information to head office.
It took us 2.5 days from the first meeting to the final delivery of the system. That's 2.5 days to design, develop, pre-test, install, deliver, install, train, go home.
The system was able to coordinate firefighters and detail emergency accommodation, food supplies, medical and financial help for evacuated families.
When disaster strikes, the time for this planning's over is an old saying. And I think that we really did need it before, in advance, with trained operators, all of this. But the speed at which it was put together was really remarkable, and we're up and away.
Wet it down, you probably already wet it enough, just go.
Using the computer, people who were left with little more than the clothes they stood up in were linked with the thousands of offers of assistance from welfare agencies, private businesses and the general public, all ready to help with everything from beds for the night to replacing spectacles. Without the specialised system, disaster headquarters would have been awash with paper.
This would have been a much slower process to put the papers in line and shuffle the food in this bundle and the accommodation in that bundle. Would have been a fairly laborious clerical task.
As well, the computer could track where people had been relocated, log who was eligible for welfare, and in the process guard against possible fraud. It was all made much easier because of the computer software used to compile the information.
I chose Lotus Notes because we needed a product that we could develop the application quickly in, that could share the information around, and that was easy to use because we didn't have time to train people.
In the fire-ravaged areas around Sydney, 4,000 people were evacuated from their homes, and many have needed ongoing financial assistance to help rebuild their lives. Behind the scenes, a computer network made it all much smoother.
We tend to move with the technology really helping us do our job. I think it's great.
Now, the computer industry has been going through the sort of changes that car manufacturers experienced some 50 years ago. Companies have merged and the number of brand names has rapidly shrunk. Now, at times, this all sounds like a lot of corporate gobbledygook, but if you're wading through a sea of information, wondering which brand is best for you, this little bit of corporate background just may clear the air. IBM and Apple have historically been in opposite camps. Apple launched the user-friendly Mac to counteract IBM's big business style. But in 1992, these computer industry giants reached an historic agreement to build computers, operating systems and multimedia applications together.
Apple and IBM will sign a contract that will launch a renaissance in technical innovation and that will positively impact the entire computer industry into the 21st century.
Driving this agreement was, on Apple's side, competition from software giant Microsoft Windows. And on IBM's side, its reliance on Microsoft for operating systems and on Intel for the microprocessor chips that are the brain of most PCs. IBM brought to the agreement its new design for a microprocessor chip called the PowerPC. Motorola, the company that's always supplied Apple with chips, now makes the PowerPC for both IBM and Apple. The rest of the industry continues to rely on Intel's superchip, the Pentium, to run a new generation of software. This means there'll be Pentium-based computers and PowerPC-based computers, as well as the current ranges. With the same chip inside the new IBM and Apple computers, there's been lots of speculation that the great divide between Apple and IBM would finally disappear. But Apple don't quite see it that way, so things aren't going to change all that quickly. Even in the PowerPC camp, there'll be different systems. As a result, the consumer, that's you and me, is as confused as ever.
At the beginning of 1993, a new computer magazine hit the stands. Since then, it's become one of the most influential and talked about in the world. Targeted at the digital generation, Wired acknowledges the merging of consumer lifestyle and technology. It's been described as the Rolling Stone of the 90s, and Wired is growing frantically. Demand for this magazine is so infinite, copies sell as fast as they're printed. With a totally original look and more than 1,000 new readers a week, Wired is connecting the world to technology.
I think that's what's going on. When we created Wired, we said that a magazine that wrote about important topics did not have to look boring, especially because our readership included the digital generation, and these people have an incredibly high visual sensibility. And so our focus is entirely different from those magazines that focus on bits and bytes and are basically parts catalogs. Wired is a technology lifestyle magazine, and it's focusing on the digital revolution that's sweeping our planet. And it's focusing on the people and the companies and the ideas that are making that revolution. And no one else is focusing on these people in the same comprehensive way. We launched with a story by Bruce Sterling, who's known in America and around the world as a science fiction writer. We sent him out to do a story on virtual war. The bomber pilots that flew the missions into Baghdad had flown them hundreds of times before they ever actually flew a real mission into Baghdad. And they had flown them in simulators that were networked together, so they flew these missions in formation with their fellow pilots or tank commanders or actually in battlefield conditions with radio transmissions going on and enemies coming at you. This was an incredible advantage for the United States in the Gulf War, and we were the first magazine to focus on what the military was doing.
And you've got some famous subscribers, a wide range of people read the magazine.
One of the first subscribers was Steven Spielberg. Others include Cher. Yeah, Cher is a subscriber. We have this incredibly rich readership of people who are out there on the front lines of this revolution, who are themselves creating the changes that are sweeping our world.
Lewis, tell us about the style, because the style is quite amazing, it's different.
People are starting to make ads specifically for Wired. It's gotten an incredible buzz inside the advertising community, and creative directors are trying to make their advertising fit into the visual environment of the magazine. Apple ran a unit in Wired that was of a Nepali paddling a dugout canoe across a lake with Himalayan mountains in the background and with a little power book sitting in front. This unit they never ran anywhere else. Canon just produced one for us that has this old man saying he's a scanophobia, and he wants somebody to invent something that allows him to scan easily. We've had an incredibly great reaction from the advertising community.
As the demand to get Wired increases on newsstands around the world, new readers can also plug into this diary of the digital revolution using internet.
Wired probably have the most extensive online presence of any magazine in the United States. We have, we're on America Online, we have our own infobot here, we have a Gopher site, we have a worldwide website. So we're just ubiquitous on the internet and online.
People have said that Wired magazine is the Rolling Stone of the 90s. Would you agree with that statement?
In a way, we prefer to think of Rolling Stone as the Wired of the 60s. But the idea is basically accurate in that we're looking at a cultural phenomena for the first time and not looking at it simply as a cult fringe, but actually looking at it as a center of our culture today.
Hello? No. Hello? 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 Basia here. Yes, this is the Big Byte. No, it's not a sandwich shop. It's a computer program. Okay, thanks, bye. Wrong number. Well, that's something you can't avoid no matter how fancy your phone. This cute little mobile, for instance, doesn't even ring. It vibrates. Perfect if you don't want to annoy people in restaurants or at the theatre. Instead of hearing it, you feel it. Don't tell me how you have a quiet conversation, though. Mobile phones are now so popular, it's estimated there'll be more than 70 million of them in the world by 1997. Just like the personal computer, the mobile phone has become a consumer item that you can take out of the store and use straight away. 7 years ago, few of us could afford one, but now you can pick them up in department stores for 1/10 of the price. And look how much smaller today's phones are compared with this old Motorola brick. It certainly doesn't look like a status symbol anymore. You can even get phones as small as a credit card. Because they're so convenient, compact and affordable, mobile phones are almost an essential business tool for tradespeople, sales agents and in fact anyone on the move. They're not just a yuppie toy anymore. In fact, their important social uses such as personal security are becoming far more apparent. Mobile phone customers have a number of different networks to choose from depending where they live. Some countries have mostly analogue networks, others digital. Hong Kong has one called the CT2 network, which is ideal for concentrated mobile populations in small areas. There you have to be near a base station to make or receive calls. In some developing countries, they've even found it easier to introduce a mobile phone system instead of digging up the streets to lay cables. At the moment, it's difficult to roam around the world with your own phone as only some countries have agreements or compatible systems. But look at this little development. It's a card known as the GSM, which holds all your information, and it lets you do your phoning in any corner of the world, but you still find your bill at the end of the day when you get home.
What's that noise?
I'm the games reporter for the Big Byte, and this week we're going to look at SimCity 2000, which is the latest in a series of sim games, which are simulation games. There's been Sim Life and Sim And, Sim Earth and Sim Moon. They've all been really popular, and the most popular of all of them has been the original SimCity, which is what this one is based on. This is the latest version of SimCity 2000. It's in the future, and you start off with a vacant block of land, and first thing you have to do is build stuff on it. And it's got 3D terrain with mountains and trees and everything. The first one just had flat land. And what you basically have to do is expand the city and keep it under control so that there's not too much crime, not too much pollution, and that the people are happy and paying their taxes. You have to keep the taxes not too high as well. And you play the part of the mayor. And you have to remember things like people don't like to live near the industry. They like to live around parks and things like that. So if you put more parks in, you'll get more people. And that's how you succeed in the game. And when you got a bit more advanced, it looks a bit like this. And you see, there's still lots of room there's lots of potential for expansion, which you should do. So it's a really long and involving game. It takes hours and hours to do, and it's really good value for money, especially because it's a simulation game. It's different every time. So I give it 9 out of 10. I'm Hayden. See ya.
Byte back. I don't understand what's going on here.
The program should be easier.
Means nothing to me.
Sometimes wrong, sometimes right. You know, if they could make it do this as well, and perhaps make it a bit simpler.
Oh no, can't do that.
I just can't follow the manual.
Next week on The Big Byte, you'd better be careful. A new generation of computer will talk back at you. The clicking of computer keyboards is music to the ears of rock group In Excess. And speed and security makes Norway's computerized election systems the most advanced anywhere.